The idea is that the new law should be adopted by the end of 2010. The Croatian radio television has a particular role in our media space. It is not an entirely, of course, a commercial broadcaster. It has to take care of the public interest in a rather different manner than the RTL or other televisions have in Croatia, and therefore we are looking forward for a editorial policy which will also help us to inform the Croatian public on the European issues. I have to admit it is in my competence, the communication strategy, and I was looking at the numbers of how many people actually look at the various programs that are EU related. And besides the main news, all the others where the EU issues are mentioned, it is very, very low. It is between 3 and 9% of the voters actually who actually watch programs related to the European Union. So our task is, your objective is rather a different one, but I think that the new law will put things in place in a way that also that the competitors will be happy. But our task from the point of view of state, and especially those of us who are responsible for the information on the EU, are looking forward for a more informative and more, I would say, even if I can use the word, more responsible editorial policy given the state of play where Croatia is today, just 2 years in front of the EU accession. Yes, please.
I'm Croatian press. I'm still interested in this, in the follow-up of this question. It is about the fees, and it is about the place of the Croatian television in the landscape of the Croatian media. I know that the media I work for suffer considerably in the advertisement department because of what is perceived as the place of the Croatian television. So I am interested in the view of the competition policy. I want to take this into account because I haven't really seen it very prominent in the public debate, but only in the concerned internal debates in the media.
Well, from what I have read and from what I have seen in various events which were organized in the past couple of months, the issue has been addressed, and I think it has been duly taken into account into the latest version of the draft law. But we can maybe use an occasion and discuss it a little bit more in detail later on, since we'll be seeing each other during the next couple of days.
Any other questions?
Private said that several venues are still not explored by the Croatian government when it comes to requiring this documentation. Did this prosecutor, was he more precise? What venues are there to explore? Do we know? Can we know as well what is there?
Well, in terms of the exploring of the avenues, as he explained, he just wanted to see that the task force, and task force is a group of people predominantly from police, Ministry of Defense and Intelligence Services and Ministry of Justice, people who are trying to find out the flow of circulation of certain documents which were produced back in 1995 during the Operation Storm. So I guess what he was saying in terms of exploring all the avenues is really how far the investigation should go and who should be interviewed, how many more people should be interviewed, whether they were by chance in the possession or could have known whether some documents existed, were destroyed, or are perhaps in somebody's possession who is trying to conceal them from the authorities. This is, I believe, what he meant by exploring other avenues, but given all the reports that we have provided to the prosecution so far, and given the intensity and the number of people actually involved in this task force work, I really wonder how much more could be done, and given the assurances by the President and by the Prime Minister at this stage of relationship with the prosecutor, I think we are really trying to do our utmost. And if there are some hints that he mentioned in more detailed manner during those meetings, I'm sure that the task force will certainly look at them in the most efficient way. Yes, please.
You mentioned at the beginning of your statement that 8 or 9 years ago there was a optimism in Croatia about where you would be within 9 or 10 years. Putting this to the future, where do you see Croatia and climate change within the EU? What sort of role do you see your country playing?
Thank you, Colin. Well, certainly in 10 years' time I hope we'll be members. I guess this is a bit more likely than it was in the time of the Zagreb summit. But certainly a question of how Croatia perceives itself as a future member of the European Union is actually at the table. And we are all trying to fully understand how much the European Union is evolving. It's evolving both in terms of its size, it's evolving in terms of its institutional architecture, but it is also evolving given the wider global change. In a way, we've been running to catch the European Union, and by the time we have arrived here, the major players are the G20, who are deciding on a lever which is a little bit higher than the Brussels one, in a slightly different format, and the decisions which are taken in this particular context affect all of us. As a country of 4.4 million people, certainly we should be realistic in trying to find a niche for Croatia in the European Union. Where will be the EU in 2020? We are trying to read the papers of many clever people who spend a lot of their time trying to project the EU both politically, economically, and even sectorially on the map of the world, and also in the EU as a global actor. Certainly we have some experience which we can offer. For instance, the unfortunate experience of war which we had to endure, and the aggression against us in the 90s, we have actually developed quite a strong expertise in the peacekeeping missions. Croatian soldiers are present in Afghanistan, for instance. We are also taking part in the ESDP cooperation with third countries, such as Croatia is today. We are looking at the ways how we can be useful in providing a knowledge of a, let's say, real-time war situations that most of the Western Europeans didn't have to undergo in the last couple of years. And that's why our soldiers are, in a way, people with special skills from the first-hand experience. And this is certainly an area where we can contribute. Also, next year we shall be for the first time within the battle group in the second half of 2012. But politically, I would say that Croatia will first have to adapt itself institutionally to understand how to act as a responsible member. We need to still strengthen our own internal structures to be able to react quickly, to have good